Welcome to the Gridiron Insight. I'm your host, Marcus Dent, and that's my sidekick, Mikhail Stevens. What's going on, Mikhail?
Man, you got it, man. What a weekend! What a weekend! That's
Oh
all
man,
I can say.
yeah, it was a fun-filled weekend in college football, man. All across the board, all across the country, from the East Coast to the West Coast. But man, let's jump off and talk about where we were at Friday night. Tupelo, Madison Central.
Man, what a game! Out the gate, Madison Central, they went up to Tupelo ready to play, but they did take advantage of opportunities.
They
And
did.
in this game, when you don't take advantage of opportunities and you let a heavyweight champion hang around, all of a sudden you find yourself in a dogfight.
Yeah, man, I'm talking about Madison went up 20 points, man. I was like, I couldn't believe that. Went up 20 points on Tupelo at home. And then it happened. It was called J.J. Hill.
The freight train.
Man, I'm going to tell you something. I've been watching high school football for a long time, and this young man is very underrated. I think he stands around, 6'1", like 230 pounds, man, and he got an eye, for the hole. He can plant his foot in the ground and get forward real quick. We saw it. I wanted to see it for myself. That's one reason I was there. And just to get a chance to see that cat and running, doing his thing, I think it was amazing. Like I said, I've been hearing great things about him all year. I knew y'all had a pretty good defense, man, and y'all got some great linebackers, so I figured that would be one of the deciding factors in this whole thing. But, man, he came out the gate just running. I'm talking about doing his thing. And so, take your hat off to Tupelo Golden Waves. And, Madison fought hard, man. They fought hard, but it's like anything in football, missed opportunities.
Absolutely. Just going into that third quarter, Madison up 20-0. They come out. The sophomore linebacker gets an interception, and it looks like Madison's about to go up 27-0, and they stall out. They suffer from a sack and get out of field goal range. And then the very next possession, JJ gets rolling, but he ran off about a 65-yard run, and they were cooking, and they were in the red zone. And now all of a sudden we find ourselves at a ball game.
Yeah, man, not only can he run the football, I want to say he caught a pass for about 50, 60 yards in that game?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the kid is phenomenal, man. I enjoy watching him play. Seems to be a real humble guy, man. And we're looking at him right there, man, just doing his thing on the film. And like I said, I had a chance to talk a little bit with him, man, and man, he got some good stuff coming his way, pretty soon, man. So, hats off to them. Hats off to Madison Central coming in, doing what they did. They just didn't finish the job.
Oh, that's it. They came out. They had a great first half. They had the three-headed monster going. They had a few good things going. Michael and Glenn and Michael Hogan. Michael catching the ball out the backfield. Glenn with a long run in the game himself. Glenn knocked off about a 70-yard run for a touchdown. That was a real good run. And, unfortunately, again, they didn't take advantage of opportunities, which they could have easily had a 4 to 5 touchdown advantage, but just let Tupelo hang around. And again, hats off to Tupelo for hanging around. Their defense in the second half, led by Iverson McCoy and what's the other kid name?
Mason Dunn on the other side.
Mason Dunn.
Yeah.
Those two contained a lot in the passing game. And Jaden Johnson, quarterback for Madison Central, was about 8 for 17 for only 75 yards.
Oh man, that's holding it down. They put the clamps on Big Mike, man. Big Mike, I thought he only had maybe a couple pitches, but I know he's been a whipping. I think he averaged about 80-some yards a game, but Tupelo took that away. They took the big tight end away. And like I said, Madison Central had their chances, man. One of the biggest issues I had and the biggest concerns I had is how do you go into the locker room in the red zone, basically around the 20-yard line, and you let time run out without getting any points.
Yeah, but it was 10 seconds left on the clock. They tried to take a shot for the end zone, and Jaden Johnson got sacked. They didn't have any more timeouts, and again, another missed opportunities of at least 3 points.
Yeah.
And you got an All-American kicker with Richardson.
Oh man, that kid is crazy. I saw him booting it from 55, and man, it had room. So yeah, definitely some missed opportunities when it comes to that game. Tupelo, right now they sitting at 7-0. Right now, the number one team in the state, and man, who can argue that right now?
No one can, and that's a tough region. And you got Starkville, you got Clinton, you still got Madison Central. So whoever comes out of that division, they probably end up playing each other 2 times.
Yeah, and I think, we all know that Starkville's kind of Tupelo kryptonite. For some reason, man, it's hard for them to get past those Yellow Jackets, man. So definitely we're gonna, kind of keep an eye on that, for games coming up. Hey, let's turn to the next place that you were at. I got a chance to watch it on TV. Ole Miss LSU.
Classic.
Yeah, man.
Classic.
How was Death Valley?
Man, as advertised. Man, the ruckus, the energy, the who's who was in the building. Odell Beckham, Shaq. Everybody was at the game. It was homecoming in Death Valley.
Oh, and man.
It wasn't in the house. And all I remember saying is, ain't no way Ole Miss gonna win this game. It was just too much to overcome. And again, we saw a team that didn't take advantage of opportunities.
Yeah, that's true.
They were in control the whole game. They led the entire game, except for the touchdown pass in overtime.
Man, and here's my take on it. I think Ole Miss had the right scheme. I think they had the right game plan, but man, opportunities missed. And you lose Trey Harris, man. I'm telling you, Juice Wells he couldn't carry him, man. You lose Trey Harris in that fourth quarter, and it was too much to overcome for him. I think LSU has a great football team. I still think they're missing some things to play with a team like Texas. But I still think they got a great football team.
With Ole Miss, it was good to see Bentley get off for the first time.
We talked about that in the last show.
Right. He was missing, and he showed up. He was ready to play. And even with the 2 losses, I still think Ole Miss still got an opportunity. They just got to put it together, and now there's no margin for error.
No, they got to win out. They got to win out. They got to win out. It's possible for them to win out, and it's a lot of pressure. You had Bo Bounds coming on, that show talking about they got $12 million on the field, and that's added pressure, man. When you say that, don't think other schools don't hear that.
Mm-hmm.
They hear that. They're like, okay, y'all got a $12 million team. Okay, we're gonna see what that $12 million team looks like. And I'm just, as an athlete, that's what I would be saying if I was on the other end. Right or wrong?
You stand correct when you have teams like Clemson who isn't even spending money in the portal.
No, Clemson is not spending that kind of money, but the portal has taken effect on, a lot of different things. And we'll come back to the Ole Miss stuff in a minute. But the portal has taken effect, and it's hurt teams like New Mexico State, La Tech, Middle Tennessee State. Those teams were winning programs last year. And you take New Mexico State, their quarterback goes to Vandy, along with the assistant head coach. Along with the assistant head coach, Tim Beck, who is now the offensive coordinator at Vandy. You knock off number 1 Alabama. You beat Kentucky. And, man, they in a pretty good spot at Vandy right now. So you see the portal is hurting teams like the Southern Miss, Kennesaw State, who had a really good season a couple years ago. They can't get the kids, and their kids are being stolen from them. So, my thing of it is, I don't know where. I don't have the answer for what's going on right now in college football with that. But I can say this. Look at Clemson. Clemson is building it brick by brick. I want to ask you, do you think Clemson is doing it the right way?
Yeah, I do actually. They're doing it the right way. They're being patient, and that's called development. And what they're doing is developing the type of athlete, the type of culture, the type of locker room that will build success. They have an outstanding graduation rate. So when you add up all those things, Clemson may seem like they're down, but Clemson is in the playoff talk. They're leading the ACC. So
they're ranked number 10, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, as a parent or student athlete looking at programs, you look at the Clemson, you say, they like high school students. Maybe I need to go there. So that's an attractive spot for some student athletes coming out of high school.
Well, let me ask you this, and let's be clear. They got a 10-year program. Do anybody else get the leeway that Dabo gets to rebuild a program? He's been there for a good while. What he has, 2 national championships there?
Yep.
So, boom, you got the portal, and he wants to do it his way. He has a administrative staff that's going to say, hey, look, we're going to let you do it your way. You don't have to worry about us being on your head in a couple of years. Do it your way. We know your way works. So, and he's in the ACC. He's not in a brutal SEC. He is not in a really, really tough Big Ten. You understand what I'm saying? So his development time, I think in the ACC is about the only place that he can do that. I don't think he could do that if he was in the SEC. I think he would get too far behind.
He would. The physicality alone and the number of players you're going to lose to injury will bite you. The Alabamas and the Georgias of the world, they're able to recruit high school, and then they get the top of the litter out the portal. So you definitely have to have your foundation with your high school recruits. However, programs like Alabama, Ohio State, they can go pluck what they need out the portal and still maintain a level of success and their culture.
Yeah.
Everybody else is going to be bottom feeders, so to speak, and get what they can get,
Well, let's talk about 2 teams that I feel like they're not national contenders, have really never been a national contender, but one has had really good success over the years, and the other one, they lost their best coach to Penn State, which is Vandy, and I'm talking about Mississippi State. Jeff Lebby looks real good offensively right now. And what's his name? Van Buren, whatever. Van Buren, whatever the freshman quarterback name is.
Right.
I'm sorry I butchered that. But they scored 31 points this weekend with that kid.
On the road.
They scored a bunch of points against Texas. On the road, which your Oklahoma team could not do. So you're looking at Texas and you're looking at Vandy. 2 teams that I think say, we're not Oklahoma. We're not Oklahoma. We're not Ohio State. You got to give us time and a little bit of money to build a program. So you look at the kid that just left, Mario Nash. He decommitted, went to Florida State. So why do you think he decommitted, and what do you think that's a good move? Because it looks like Lebby has this program headed in the right direction, whether they 1-6 or whatever it is. I'm looking at the sideline. I'm looking at the kids jumping around. They're having fun playing football. So do you take a chance on Coach Leb and look at building, or do you go somewhere where you feel like, okay, we're going to win here. And Florida State is not right now. They're not. I mean, they're a bottom seller team right now, but we know how quick Florida State can get back to the top because they're Florida State. So you got a kid. He's a senior, but what about these sophomores and juniors? Man, when is a really good time to commit? And how do you know a program, with this brutal schedule that you have now, 16 games, how do you know what that team is going to do year in and year out? So what part of the program do you fall in love with? Do you fall in love with, just being there because you're committed to a top 10 team? Are you committed to the school? Are you committed to the coach? I mean, it's a really hard decision right now for most kids. That's in that predicament.
Man, the relationships that accounts for, I would say, a major percent of it. Also, the school. What's your goals? Are you trying to go win a Heisman? Are you trying to go win a national championship? Or are you trying to go be a student and become a doctor or a lawyer? Those factor in. But at the end of the day, if you're talking about SEC, you're talking about Big Ten and even some ACC schools, you're talking about auditioning for the NFL. So as a parent of a student athlete, man, these moments here can be frustrating at times because you're building relationships, but also you're trying to understand where does your child, student athlete, fit into this program? Will the opportunities be there? Is it a good fit culturally? Those things you have to account for, and then you decide, hey, when do we decide to commit? And that's another issue. Is it junior year? Is it senior year? So everything is moving in real time, and everybody's situation is tailored just for their situation. So to answer that question, there's really no answer to that question other than build your relationships, see who you can trust, keep your circle tight, and take it from there.
You pretty much hit it on the head. I mean, there's nothing I can say on top of that you didn't cover. I know for us, when Isaiah was coming through, it was a little bit different because the portal was still a little bit new. It wasn't what it is right now. And you got schools that are known for stacking kids. And you know what I mean by stacking kids. If, next year, if the offense is not clicking, we go get somebody at the portal. We don't have time for this high school kid. And then that's how you find, not saying that high school kid is not going to be better than the kids you got starting, but he's 18 years old against a 22-year-old. You got exceptions to the rule. You got Coleman at Auburn. You got the kid at Ohio State. You got the kid at Alabama. You got exceptions to the rules. But 90% of freshmen are not going to be ready to play college football when they get there.
Absolutely not. Absolutely
so you got to make sure that that's why I think programs like Clemson is going to grow. I think programs like Vandy is going to grow, but I still think that Vandy might have a little bit of a problem holding on to some of their kids, but they're in the SEC. They're not going to lose a lot of kids. Believe it or not, they're not going to lose a lot of kids.
And after this season, it'll be kind of interesting because a lot of kids that got the extra year through COVID, they're going to be gone out the system.
Yeah. So I can see Vandy losing a coordinator.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I can see them losing a coordinator, but even from a kid, from an athlete point of view, I mean, do you leave Vandy and go to Ohio State? You're playing against Alabama. You're playing against Georgia. You're playing against the best of the best. So your opportunities now has just changed. You're playing against Texas. You're playing against you're in a conference with Oklahoma and all the big boys. So why would you go somewhere else?
Money.
That would be the only reason.
Money changes everything.
But we don't know what Vandy has. Vandy is doing some different things, so we don't know. Vandy get that same big chunk of SEC money that everybody else gets.
That's true.
So it just all depends on whether Vandy wants to say, you know what, we're gonna pony up. Because the last time they ponied up, the coach left and went to Penn State.
Right.
So, but it was a different SEC. It was a different state and time. And I think with everything that's going on right now, I think Vandy's in a good position. I think they're in a good position to get really good skilled kids. You take Middle Tennessee State, always had a real good football team, 8-win bowl game, Now those kids, how can you talk a kid and go into Middle Tennessee State where he can go to Vandy now?
Well, Vandy got the memo. They updating their facilities. They're updating their stadium. So you don't want to get left behind, and you in the SEC, right? Because
that's
true. Let's be real. We hadn't seen the last of teams jumping different conferences. It looks like it's going to be the Big Ten versus the SEC, because the ACC is barely holding on to Florida State and Clemson, North Carolina and Miami. So I don't think we're done there.
I think you'll see the Big 40 come about. And when you see the Big 40, that means 40 teams that they're probably going to take, and that's going to be one big conference, and everybody else is going to play each other for their own national championship. That's coming. I've heard that. Huh?
I'm going to shoot about 60 teams.
Well, I heard that from 2 P4 coaches and an athletic director.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be about 40 teams. And they're going to have a commissioner. That's in the work. They're already talking. The SEC and the Big Ten is already talking about putting something together anyway.
Exactly.
I mean, that's all over the internet. So who do you get as commissioner? I got 2 names.
Who was that?
Nick Saban and Brown. That said, what's his name? Come on, man, help me out. It says North Carolina right now.
Mike Brown, the coach. You're talking about Mark Brown.
Yeah, right. Coach. Those 2 right there, man. 2 of the old heads that understand this part of the system, and they understand the old part of the system. So 2 guys, Matt Brown, that's his name, and 2 guys that can marry this whole thing together. And now you're gonna have what you want to call it?
Super league. That's what it is.
Yeah, you're gonna have a super conference. It's gonna be a super conference.
It'll be like the AFC and the NFC.
Right. That's coming. You can get ready for it. That's coming in college football. And you got a lot of people talking about, well, I'm just through with college football. Well, ask me, why are the ratings going up? If so many people are through with college football, why are the ratings going up?
College football is healthy. And it's always transitioning. I can remember growing up, and I know you as well. I remember it was about only 3 games on TV all day.
Right. So that's one thing, man, that that's coming about. It's coming about a change.
It's more of the TV executives that are going to be in more control, in my opinion, opposed to, maybe Nick Saban and Mac Brown to be on some type of committee. But those TV execs, they run it. ESPN, they run the SEC. Fox Sports, they run the Big Ten.
They run it. I mean, they run it. And man, right now, these recruits have to be real patient. They have to be real smart, and they have to have some knowledge. And we talked about this right now, man. If you got a big time recruit, man, I don't know if it's not safe enough. I'm not going to say safe. I'm going to say wise enough. Is it wise to get some outside advice from, I hate the word agent, man. I can't deal with that.
Or the middleman.
An advisor.
It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. Like, that's a part of your circle of trust. It doesn't hurt, because I was telling a 4-star and a 3-star this weekend. They're 26 graduates. And I said, do you guys realize this time next year you'll be getting ready for college because both of you all are going to early graduate? And I was like, your high school career is almost over. You got the rest of this year and you got next year, but your mindset is really starting to evolve to be on the next level, because
Correct.
next year you're going to be on the next level. And sometimes to get through what you got to go through, you may need some help with somebody who has relationships established already and can give you an honest opinion on where you stand, where your student athlete is.
Yeah,
So it
that's
doesn't
true.
hurt.
No, it doesn't hurt, man. So, and you got a lot of high school coaches that don't like that, but they're not in that. They're not in that situation. They don't like trainers. They don't like camps. They don't like. There's a lot of high school coaches, man, that really don't deal with the recruiting world at all. Besides college coaches coming by the school, and that's all they deal with. They don't really have the insight on what's going on, and they think they do just because that college coach come in and sit on their couch and sit in their office and talk to them about a kid, and they really think they know what's going on until you in the world of college football and what's really going on right now, you don't know.
Well, I would call some of those high school coaches old school, but I'm not even going to go that far. But, their job is to win ball games. And to their respect, that's what they tend to focus on. However, you do have student athletes with parents who have invested in their kids and their student athletes since they were 8, 9 years old, and has gotten the training and has been on college campuses and have relationships with these particular universities, and they tend to be a little bit ahead sometimes. And that's not necessarily a good marriage for some high schools and the way they do things.
Yeah. And you wonder why kids like man, I can't think of the kid name now. Man, we had both of them. What's Gavin Griffin and Quincy Phillips, who's still in high school. And man, I know Gavin Griffin is a heck of a running back, man. And if you go back 3 years,
Little League,
right, man, I'm just talking about what he did at Velma Jackson, man. And same thing with Quincy, what he's doing, man. These kids don't have FBS offers, G5 offers. They don't have them. And 3 years ago, they would have had that. I think they would have had the La Techs. I think they would have had the Louisiana Monroes of the world. I think they would have had those kind of offers. But man, that's what I hate to see, guys like that falling through the cracks. And these are some really good ball players. You take Gavin.
They legendary. Like,
man.
Real. Like,
man. And they did the right things.
And you watch a kid like Gavin last year in the state championship play
at
the vault at Ole Miss and put on a show.
Yeah, man.
For everybody to see. And Quincy Carter is still doing it, and I'm flabbergasted that these kids hadn't had the opportunities. And they're not just the only ones. There's several kids around the state I've witnessed kids play in other states. Mississippi has some of the most dynamic players you ever see. However, it is great that we have shows like this, and we have trainers, and we have some programs that are putting these kids out, and we got to continue to build that, so these kids can get better opportunities. Because, I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed on a kid like Quincy, because I think it's a program out there for him.
Yes.
Especially with the type of team that he's playing on, that's a team that possibly can win it all.
Oh yeah, they definitely. I mean, y'all got one out of them, but I think they're a team that definitely can win it.
Right, we talking about a FBU All-American. We just not talking about, this is a kid who's had the national exposure. So I'm just trying to figure out what's the disconnect.
and played up against some of the top kids in the country in some of those tournaments and put up great numbers. So I don't know, man. Like I say, those type kids right there, man, they caught in the crossfire. And the thing about Quincy Phillips, he's at a 7A school, bro. He is at a 7A school.
And I think moving forward with the way that college has changed, high school has got to change as well.
It does.
Some of these high schools need a recruiting department to deal with.
And I'm seeing that more.
Selling their kids. Yeah. Hey, we got this guy. You guys should come take a look. So I don't know what the full story is with those guys, but I know I've seen Gavin at several universities, just out on the recruiting trail, and it just didn't happen. It was kind of late in the game for him. But with Quincy, I know he's been around. Don't know what camps he's been to, but the opportunity should be there, and they just not.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the world we live in, man. And we're going to give out a lot of information a little later on. I got some middle school stuff coming up, man, at the first part of the year. The academy, which is going to be similar to what we did in FBU, but it's going to be, I want to say 3 days, 21 hours, classroom, field work, board work, information, recruiting information for parents, those type things. If you start out early, you can get a jump on this thing, but that's no guarantee that everything's going to work out. That's no guarantee everything's going to work out, man. But hey, man, look, we're getting ready to wrap this thing up, man. Next week, come Thursday, I think we got a couple of games I don't think they'll match up to the Tupelo and Madison game. We got a couple games coming up. We'll feature Thursday on the show, man. And like I say, Mississippi has plenty of talent. Any coaches, any recruiters, hey, man, come check us out. Come check us out in the cell, man.
And before we leave, I do want to mention big upset. And it's two kids on that MRA team that's floating under the radar as far as being recruited. That's DJ Watkins and AJ Parker over there at MRA. Those are two other seniors that should have a lot of offers, but don't.
Oh, yeah. I know, definitely. But like I said, we're going to wrap it up, man. Get on out of here, man. Like I said, we appreciate y'all guys tuning in. And, hey, hit us up in the comments. Smash that like button. Subscribe. Peace.